Hey there, this is Ben Malloy. It's me, Ben Malloy, and I'd like to tell you something. Um, I've heard about the campers down there, out there in Texas that died from the floods at Mystic, that girls' camp. I have a question though. Is there any way possible on this planet that we can not be political and not talk about red and white and put our politics aside and focus on the humanity? And can there be a way that people will not say he's being an American talking about humanity and that's bad and he's fascist? Sorry. Is there a way possible that millions of Americans can not be political about tragedies and not blame others and not talk about what whose fault it is, Donald Trump's fault, whatever? I get it's a polarizing topic, and it might be it might make everyone, what I'm saying here, feel not comfortable. But can we put our evil down and our politics down and our beliefs and our opinions down for the sake of humankind, and have empathy instead of talking about politics and evil and cussing and living in a fantasy world about things? I gotta tell you, it's not political. It's not about the environment. It's about something that's flying under the radar that I think needs to be talked about. Because, when I say jokes, people think that's, not really funny. And, jokes, we use that as a coping mechanism, okay? Jokes, I'm not the type of person that goes around being silly, and when a joke is not funny, it's just silly. And I'm not the type of person who goes around telling jokes because I'm silly. That's not what it's about. I think it's important to talk about things, things that are dark and bring it into the light, because a lot of people don't seem to know or understand or think about this. But I went to camp when I was little. I went to a camp here in North Carolina called Camp SOAR. And I worked at a camp called Camp Spring Creek, which is in Bakersville, North Carolina. And I spent 5 years of my life at SOAR, which is near Asheville, in a town about 45 minutes to an hour away west called Balsam, North Carolina, which is in between Waynesville and Sylva. And I grew up going there. But let's be honest. Can we talk about why the kids died out there, down there in Texas? Can we say that, look, parents, what I'm trying to point out here is losing your child, and that's big. It's sad that it happened. And what better way to die at a Christian camp than at a Christian camp worshiping Jesus, and you're dying at a camp. You died from a flood at a camp that worshiped Jesus when you were getting ready to see him. What better way to die? But aside that point, let's talk about the parents, okay? And it's going unaddressed. The parents need to be held accountable. Why do I say that? Because as tough as it is, they always blame. No, they don't blame. They are sad. They're writing letters. It's a complex issue. Humans are complex, okay? But what about their thinking about their safety before they took them and sent them off and said goodbye? You know that girl, Sarah Marsh? I think she was from Alabama, but she had ties here to this state, here in my home state, North Carolina. I think, from what I read, her dad went to Chapel Hill, but you know what? He should have thought, okay? Parents should take their kids, if they're going to take them to a camp, they should do it at imminent settings. Here in Winston-Salem, in the year 2004, from 2001 until 2005, I went to a camp here called Friends Club. This was before I went to SOAR. And you know what? The most amount of people that they had was 9. As a matter of fact, this is my bedroom. You've seen it. You all have seen it many times. One time I had it here at my house. One time. And all those kids, about 7 or 8 of them, came in this bedroom. And I remember it like it was yesterday. I had it right here in this very room as I'm speaking. And that was safe. That was a safe environment. Now, see, why can't parents think about sending their kids to something like that instead of these big nonprofit corporation camps? Doesn't matter if it's by a river, a creek, on the ocean, or a flood of, I'm sorry to say this, forgive me on here, I shouldn't be saying this, but I'm sorry, a flood of pee. It doesn't matter, but that's aside the point. The point is, parents shouldn't be sending their kids to camp. And honestly, they should use their brain. They should have used their brains, saying, you know what? I'd like to send my little girl, Lenny, who was one of those who died, God rest her soul, to camp. But you know what? Should I or should I not? Because I'm her parent, you know. This is what I would have said if I was in one of their shoes. I'm your parent, and mom's your parent. I'm your dad, she's your mom. And we need to rethink about sending our daughter to that place. What if she drowns? What if she makes international headlines from a natural disaster and is talked about globally gazillions of times over? What if she becomes a household name because of it? Should we really do that? Should we really put our daughter, or son for that matter, in her or his jeopardy to become a household name because we lost him or her? But no, they didn't do that. They downplayed it and they cried and cried and cried. But really, the parents should be held accountable. And honestly, if I was their age, I would hope my mom and dad who sent me to camp would rethink about my safety. It's not about politics. It's not about red and blue. It's not about global climate change. It's not about Mother Nature. It is. But it's about safety and the parents and parenting. And it's flying under the radar. The parents are sad, devastated. I get it. But what about sending them? What about shouldn't have sent them? Honestly, think about it. What if the parents didn't send them? They would have lived. They had their whole lives in front of them. They could have gotten married. They could have gotten a degree in high school. They could have gotten a bachelor's degree. They could have taken trips to Disney World in Florida. They could have taken trips to Disneyland. in California. They could have gotten married. They could have had a wedding. They could have fallen in love later in life. And they could have had children of their own. But they didn't. Or they could have lived at home with their parents like I do into their 30s and beyond. They could have been a psychologist, a mathematician. They could have been a math major. Those girls, whatever. Hannah Lawrence could have been that. But because the parents didn't think about her safety, she's dead. But really, we should really think about the parents and the camp. Did they really take precaution? And that guy, Dick, what's his last name? I forget. The guy, that is the camp principal. What's his name? Dick? I forget. I mean, he was trying to rescue them, but he should have thought too. Okay? He said, I know this place, but he wasn't trained. Okay, these camps, I'm going to say it right now, okay? And we should be honest here with ourselves. These camps, they should be for real people in the military. And I'm not a military expert, but they should be for people who can react quickly to floods and survive them. People, that fought in places like Iraq and Afghanistan. That's what these camps should be geared towards, not little children. No. And also they should be geared toward Albert Einstein type people. People who are getting ready to go to Harvard and Yale. That's who these camps should be geared towards. Not little 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, 10-year-olds, whatever. I gotta tell you, those little girls, okay, who died, they were the age of the kids that I knew at Triad Academy, okay? People who were 8 when I was in, 10th or 11th grade, were people like these kids were students and acquaintances. I knew them sort of. Duncan McGill, Sarah Presley, Brianna Sloop, Morgan Ross, Tolliver Wright and Tully Wright. These were all kids. Levi Poe. These were all kids who were their age. And they were my friends. I was nice to them. Maddie Brown. They were my age. Their age. They were only 8 when I was at Triad, and they went to the same school. But that's not what camps should be for 8-year-olds. My cousin Neely at that time was only 8. They were Neely's age at that time. They shouldn't... Oh, sorry, guys. And girls and guys. But anyway, there it goes. Sorry about the light thing. They shouldn't be part of camp. They shouldn't. Parents, y'all should think. And honestly, here's my advice to you. If you're a parent out there watching this right now, I would really, really think before I take my little 8-year-old girl or boy or anything, doesn't matter the color of their skin or their race, to a camp. I would really, really think before, because of their safety. And if you're going to do a camp, I would do it at an intimate setting, somewhere like Friends Club or ICANN or Lindley Habilitation over in Greensboro, whatever. I wouldn't do it at a place like Mystic or La Junta or Spring Creek or Soar, Seagull or Seafair or one of those. I would think about camps before I send my student there. And that's my advice to you. Or just have a little outdoor thing in your yard with a few friends. I mean, if you want your kids to have friends, or don't do camp at all, just stay at home. I mean, not teach them anything. I wouldn't mind. I mean, if I were a parent, I would allow it. Why not? So that's my thing. And may those kids rest in peace. And they're with Jesus. That's good to know. And what better way to die? But parents, please, my recommendation to you is rethink about sending your kids to camp in this day and age in the wake of Mystic. Bye, and I love you. Be safe. Have a nice day.